From Washington, this is VOA News. The Iraqi city of Fallujah falls to al-Qaeda. NATO service member is killed in a bombing in Afghanistan. An urgency stressed by EU officials in South Sudan meetings. I'm Vincent Bruce reporting from Washington. Rebels and Iraqi police in the volatile Anbar province say the Iraqi government has lost control of the city of Fallujah to al-Qaeda militants after days of fighting. The al-Qaeda-linked Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, active in both countries, has pushed police out of the city center. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki said the country's forces will not retreat from Anbar province until they eliminate al-Qaeda militants there. Friday, al-Qaeda militants raised their flag over government buildings in Fallujah, about 60 kilometers west of Baghdad, and declared an independent Islamic State. The State Department said Saturday ISIS was displaying barbarism against civilians in Fallujah and the Anbar capital of Ramadi. Deputy spokesperson Marie Harf noted the United States was working in support in every way possible to support several tribes that have revolted against ISIS. NATO's International Security Assistance Force says one of its service members has died following a suicide bomb attack by insurgents on a joint NATO-Afghan base in Nangarhar province in the eastern part of Afghanistan. NATO has not identified the service member's nationality. The Taliban has claimed responsibility. The Afghan Taliban also claimed responsibility for an explosion near a NATO base in Kabul on Saturday. NATO says that blast did not result in any casualties. Opposing sides in the conflict in South Sudan opened peace talks in Ethiopia Saturday, while violence continued in at least two regions of the country. Alex Rons, European Union Special Representative for the Horn of Africa, expressed the need for urgency between representatives from President Salva Kiir and ex-Vice President Riek Machar at the talks.
We need a cessation of hostilities, and that must happen now. People are suffering and dying, and we cannot afford to tolerate people suffering in that way while politicians haggle in a nice hotel somewhere outside of the country.
The two sides reportedly will begin face-to-face negotiations in Addis Ababa on Sunday. Saturday, there were reports of heavy fighting near Bor, the rebel-held capital of Jonglei States. Government troops launched an effort to reclaim the city. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas met Saturday for the second time in 2 days. The two sat down in the West Bank city of Ramallah as the effort to form a framework for a peace deal between Israeli and Palestinian leaders continues. After the meeting, Palestinian chief negotiator Saeb Erekat spoke with reporters about the work Kerry has put forth in the negotiations.
Secretary Kerry has exerted every possible effort in order to achieve a two-state solution. State of Palestine to live side by side the State of Israel in peace and security on the 1967 lines.
Erekat said failure is not an option for Palestinians. Secretary Kerry also addressed reporters, saying progress is being made.
As Saib said, we're not there yet, but we are making progress, and we are beginning to flesh out the toughest hurdles yet to be overcome.
More details at voanews.com. The opposition in Bangladesh has called for a 48-hour general strike on the eve of national elections. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, said it will boycott Sunday's poll, a move that undermines the legitimacy of the election. The ruling Awami League is a sure winner at the polls without BNP's participation. Awami League candidates are running unopposed in more than half of the country's parliamentary constituencies. Russian President Vladimir Putin has eased a ban on demonstrations in and around the upcoming Winter Olympics in Sochi. A decree published by the Kremlin Saturday allows demonstrations and marches in areas along routes that still must be approved by various Russian officials. A volcano in western Indonesia has erupted strongly in northern Sumatra Saturday. There are at least 30 eruptions, the strongest and most frequent since the Mount Sinabung volcano became active 3 months ago. Indonesian authorities say camps are now sheltering more than 20,000 people. Mount Sinabung was quiet for several hundred years until the volcano activity picked up in 2010. I'm Vincent Bruce, VOA News, reporting in Washington.